one of the things that business owners forget a lot is to prepare for their own retirement.
Hi, my name's Nick Palavita, and today I'm with a very special guest, a certified financial planner, a chartered retirement plan specialist, and president of National Pension Partners, Max Couliet. Max, tell me what you do at National Pension Partners.
Well, Nick, we help successful small businesses and professionals put together retirement plans that provide them the maximum retirement benefits and big tax deductions at the same time.
Well, how do you do this?
Well, we get on an internet conferencing system with the client. We review their goals, what they want to accomplish, and then put together strategies to help them in implementing a retirement plan that benefits them, not everybody else.
Well, that sounds really good, but how much does this cost?
Well, it's really not bad because the first consultation is free. That allows us to go through and discover whether this strategy works for that business and for you as the business owner and helping you maximize your retirement.
Well, Max, how do we get this free appointment?
It's really pretty simple, Nick. You can either go to our website below or call us at 877-252-1692, and then we can set up a time with either myself, Nick, or one of our other retirement plan specialists, another CPA or advisor in the office to go over this with you and make sure it fits for you.
Hi, my name is Lewis Haupt. I work with National Pension Partners, and I work with businesses to allow them to put the maximum away that they can for themselves and to save taxes.
Hi, I'm Brad Coyle, and I'm the brokerage manager at National Pension Partners. We're always analyzing plan fund choices in order to ensure the participant's success.
If you want more information on how we can help you and your business put more money away in a retirement plan than you ever thought possible, contact us at the website below or call us at 877-252.
All right, folks, it's time for the World Edition on November 11th. By the way, happy Veterans Day for all the veterans that are out there. And definitely, we know that we need to have the military and all along those lines. So definitely a good day to celebrate them and all that they have done and continue to do for us and all along those lines. Maudi vows justice as police suspect terrorism in a deadly New Delhi blast. So there was a Delhi blast that took place on last night, our time, and they're saying that's the night that shook India's capital city. Gruesome witnesses describe horrific scenes after car blast in Delhi, and definitely that is something that folks are talking about in the news. And 12 killed in the deadliest attack on Pakistan's heartland in almost a decade. Suicide bombing in Islamabad kills 12, says Pakistan's interior minister. So definitely that's something that folks are talking about as well. And Kyiv launches an energy corruption probe. So Ukraine's anti-corruption agencies push back despite Zelensky's pressure. So Ukraine's energy sector faces wide-scale investigation over kickback allegations. And Zelensky said anyone involved in a corruption scheme will be held accountable. And Iraqis vote in election. They expect to bring little reform. So as Iraqis vote for a parliament, U.S. presses to rid country of Iran's influence. So dispatch from Baghdad, don't confuse the calm around Iraq's election with stability. So that's something that folks are talking about as well. And Ukraine's shortage of manpower leaves frontline city on the brink. So Russia forces roll Mad Max style into battered Ukrainian city of Pokrovsk is what a video is showing. And some people are saying it's going to be Ukraine's hardest winter. And so some folks are asking, is the fall of Pokrovsk, Ukraine's key eastern stronghold, inevitable? So that's something I'm sure they'll be talking about on the Ukraine-Russia-China show later on this morning, so in less than an hour. A storm approaches Taiwan after causing 18 deaths and destruction in the Philippines. And apparently the bloodshed in Sudan is visible from space. So satellite images indicate burning of bodies after the fall of Sudan City. So rebels post videos of mass killings in Darfur as the world watches. Tales of horror emerge from Darfur after rebels take control of a key city. Mexico has arrested a new suspect in the 1994 assassination of a presidential candidate. So that's something that folks are talking about to the south of us and all along those lines. And Obama surprises dozens of veterans after their plane arrives in Washington. One of the honors of serving as president is having the Presidential Challenge coin, a memento that I was handed out as president and in the year since to the folks I meet who has served our community or their communities. So Barack Obama surprised a plane of veterans as they arrived in Washington, D.C. So that is something that is going on as well. Japan and China exchanged barbs after Prime Minister's remarks about Taiwan. So Japan's Prime Minister's Taiwan remarks apparently caused quite a stir, and China diplomats are threatening to cut off the new Japanese Prime Minister's head over Taiwan comments. So Japan and China in a growing row over Prime Minister Takeshi says Taiwan conflict could trigger military deployment. So that's something that folks are talking about as well. And no turning back. More and more Ukrainian women are joining the army to fight Russia. So that's definitely something that's going on as women's role and career growth in Ukraine's armed forces being talked about. Mothers, fighters, activists, the millennial women who are holding Ukraine together. And Ruby Chin's eulogy for his son, Ite, we salute you. Those who failed you apparently have to take blame, is what this is being said in that particular eulogy. And Hadar Golden, a slain IDF soldier returned from Gaza after 11 years, was laid to rest in Israel. Controversial death penalty and foreign media bills clear the first reading in Israel. So Israel passes their first reading of a bill proposing the death penalty for people it deems terrorists. So Israel Parliament backs the death penalty bill targeting Palestinians. So we'll see how this goes as well. And Indonesia grants national hero status to late strongman President Suharto. He was a U.S.-backed dictator who led sweeping massacres, and apparently he's now being named a national hero. He was known for kleptocratic rule and bloodshed, but now he's a national hero, and we'll see what folks have to say about that as well. Air pollution levels surge in India's capital, sparking rare protests. So hundreds protesting in Delhi against toxic air. I can't breathe in this city is what was reported in The Guardian. Inaction over Delhi's suffocating pollution sparks rare protests. And Nicolas Sarkozy, the former French president, is released from prison pending his appeal. So we'll see how this goes and whether he will have to go back to prison or not. And cancellations announced as sea warnings issued for Typhoon Fenghuan. So Taiwan evacuates 3,000 as Typhoon Fenghuan approaches. So they're definitely evacuating as they're preparing for that and all along those lines. And scientists discover a new Lucifer bee with devil-like horns lurking in critical areas around Australia. So it's been found in Australia, and definitely we'll see what goes on in this nature discovery. And Russia's oil firm multi-billion-dollar assets overseas at risk as U.S. sanctions begin to bite. So Trump administration blocks Gunvar takeover of Russian oil assets, as the Washington Street Journal is reporting. So that's something else going on in the news. And climate disasters displaced 250 million people in the past 10 years, according to UN reports. So refugee camps set to be uninhabitable by 2050 as extreme weather worsens around the world. So U.S. warns of millions displaced by climate change as the COP30 opens in Brazil. And U.S. is planning a $500 million base near the Gaza border to support the ceasefire, Israeli sources are saying. And Putin's swollen and sore hand sparks new wave of speculation over the Russian president's health. So Putin 73 was spotted in pain with a sickly, shriveled hand. And we'll see what goes on in that space as well. Going to bring in some of my regular panelists and see what they've got going on in their world as well. The Senate has approved a deal to end the shutdown with Democrats riven by splits. So funding bills head to House, but government shutdown could impact air travel for months. So the Senate passes the bill to reopen the government, and Trump is appealing his verdict in the E. Jean Carroll verdict. So ABC News is saying it was a very bad night. Democrats face blowback from their own party over the shutdown deal. And the man pardoned by Trump in fake election scheme hopes it extends to unrelated assault. So Trump administration federally pardoned Georgia RICO defendants. DA Fannie Willis replacement remains unannounced. So Trump's pardons aren't just political, and it's something we've been saying even on this network. More importantly, they appear to be transactional. And Trump has requested the Supreme Court overturn the verdict in the E. Jean Carroll sexual abuse case and all along those lines. And families are suing Camp Mystic over Texas flood deaths. Families of 9 Camp Mystic flooding victims filed a lawsuit alleging gross negligence after 27 girls and counselors died at that particular area. It is Camp Mystic families are filing 2 $1 million plus lawsuits against the owners of that particular facility. And Christine Pelosi will not run for Nancy Pelosi's House seat. So Nancy Pelosi's daughter picks state Senate bid over a U.S. House run. So Christine Pelosi is eyeing Sacramento, not Congress, in the 2028 state Senate run, and all along those lines. And the Supreme Court is expected to say whether full SNAP food benefits can be granted. Federal judges say states don't have to claw back November SNAP benefits, and that was reported on yesterday. But Trump administration again asked the Supreme Court to block order requiring it to make full SNAP benefits. So we'll see whether folks get the full SNAP benefits or don't. And the BBC News, as we reported yesterday, says it received legal threat from Trump over speech edit. And apparently folks are asking, can Donald Trump sue the BBC for $1 million? And if he does, which party would win? So that's something going on in the news as well. And House Budget Chair Jody Arrington is to retire. So the top House committee chairman reveals he won't seek re-election in 2026. So the U.S. Representative Jody Arrington won't seek a re-election to the West Texas District in 2026. And a judge has rejected Utah Republican drawn redistricting map. So we do have a lot of redistricting cases going on, but a Utah judge rejects a GOP redistricting effort, and we'll see what goes on in that space. And Trump's $2,000 tariff dividend may be a smart political move, is what CNN is reporting, but it would be a huge economic gamble. So Trump floats tariff dividends even while plan shows a major flaw in this particular plan, and all along those lines. Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani picks Bill de Blasio, veteran, for top deputy. So looks like that is somebody going on. And Mamdani win spurs $100 million Florida real estate rush as nervous New Yorkers flee, developers say. So some folks are wondering what the impact of his election is going to be on the city of New York and all along those lines. So I've even heard people speculate that here on this network. But I'll bring in Rick Rosner and also bring in Sasha Starr and Jatovia and see what they've got on their minds on this particular Veterans Day, as I know a lot of people are saluting the veterans here in the United States.
I just, I don't know, thinking of my family members who've served, and thinking of Donald Trump and his family members, none of whom served. In fact, his grandfather was kicked out of Germany for draft evasion. So it's a family tradition to avoid serving.
Well, speaking of tradition, Jatovia, did you see where Trump might have been kind of overshadowed by a past president, because Obama was on a plane and was saluting the veterans and all along those lines. So he was definitely doing that earlier today. So he greeted them in Washington, D.C., ironically, and everything like that. But he did come and give them a salute. And I, too, have family members that have served. As a matter of fact, that cousin that I was referring to that won the office in Georgia in the city council and everything like that, he served in the military for several tours. And then I've got aunts and others. I think there was even some uncles and definitely uncles and some aunts that served as well in different realms. Some of them might have been great aunts. But I know I have various family members, including Dad. And Dad is still living, but he did serve in the Air Force as a young man and all along those lines. So y'all's take on Veterans Day and saluting the veterans and any other things that y'all have got on your mind about world news.
Well, Sasha has often said that if we brought back the draft and made Americans serve with each other, we'd have fewer dickheads in this country.
Yeah, I think that would definitely work out really well. I don't think that it will happen while Trump is the president, and while mainstream media, well, they have to cover Trump simply because he's the president. So they showed him several times a day, whatever meetings he holds. But what I would recommend is that on every picture showing Trump, somewhere in the corner say convicted felon, or convicted on 34 felony charges, just to remind people, because this is exactly what happened. This is a history. It cannot be somehow be separated from a Trump persona. It's right there. It will be sitting there for next 250 years. So I would recommend convicted felon, so people would know. Those who love Trump or who hate Trump, everybody will be reminded what he actually represents.
Yeah. What's your take, Toby? You're on mute, I think.
Oh, I was in the middle of doing like 3 or 4 things. I mean, I disagree with auto draft or disagree with the drafts. I don't think that'll help anything because we've how, especially, and Sasha's right, doing it during this administration that's treating not only the veterans and everybody else just poorly, it'd be bad. And how, if you change a department's name, that pretty much tells where you want to go. We went from the Defense Department to now the Department of War. So he's actively searching out wars to create, which is going on in Venezuela with the regime change, and going to do that in places in Africa and anywhere else he wants to just attack. But either way, in terms of Veterans Day, I mean, it is a day we definitely need to remember those who are still with us, that have fought and sacrificed a lot just to allow us to be on this show and to do things that we want to.
And even if you don't get injured, it's still 2 years of your life.
Yeah, you sacrifice. It's a huge sacrifice.
Yeah, but it's definitely a huge sacrifice. One of the articles that I had mentioned, that I didn't know that there was that many women serving, but apparently there's a lot of women serving. And I said you might be talking about this, Sasha, on your news show, but a lot of women are coming to the military in Ukraine. And I know that's been a case in a lot of countries and everything like that, but I just wanted your take on the women that are serving in the Ukrainian army, because that was something that I did see where they were a rise in the women that are deciding to fight against Russia as well.
Yeah, this is quite expected because there are a lot of patriotic women in Ukraine. They just hate Russians just as much as men do, and specifically when Russian army committed so many crimes in Ukraine, including raping women, killing them, children, and so on. So that's quite understandable why they want to fight, and they want to kill Russian army people themselves, not waiting for their husbands to kill them or anybody else, but themselves to actually revenge for all the atrocities that Russian army committed. And this is why it's a so futile strategy of Russia to grab as much territory as in Ukraine. Do you think if they will be even some kind of a peace signed, that this part of Ukraine will become now annexed by Russia? So do you think that Ukrainian people living in these territories will stop fighting? Absolutely not. They will continue their fight regardless what kind of agreements will be signed or so on. You will never be able to stop. It's just like in Western Ukraine, from 1945, when the war was over, the Second World War, and Ukrainian nationalists and patriots, they will continue to fight until approximately 1954, so almost 10 years after the end of Second World War. So in this situation, it's not going to be any different. And don't forget that they were fighting then, this 9 years after Second World War, they were fighting against Soviet occupants, against the same Russians what they are fighting against today.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Speaking of Russia, apparently there's some more speculation. I know there's speculation oftentimes about the U.S. president, but apparently there's a lot of speculation about the Russian president, because there has been reports that he was spotted in pain and that he has a sickly, shriveled hand, and that there are folks that are wondering whether he will stay in office. And then, of course, there are people that are wondering that if he gets out of office, will the new leader be worse than Putin? So what is your take, and what are you hearing about Putin's current health, Sasha?
Nothing new, really. I mean, he is aging, so obviously his health will deteriorate regardless of what precautions he's taking. So it's a matter of fact that in the next probably year and maybe two, he will be unable to govern. So same thing as with Trump now in U.S. He is unable to govern, but he
So,
still.
but he's also the richest man in the world. He's got command of hundreds of billions of dollars. So he can get the best medical care in the world. You know, when it comes to having a messed up hand, I've got a messed up hand here. This finger gets locked into, yeah, I don't know. You can't go by people's freaking hands. And he's, how old is he? 72?
73.
73. So I mean, he could. It's optimistic thinking to think that he would pass away in the next couple of years.
Now, don't forget that all this biography of Putin is screwed up because his real age is more likely 75, but through different manipulations, he's got it down.
Okay.
His real age is 75, and unfortunately, he's going to be around for some time unless somebody will help him to move into a better world.
Yeah, definitely he'll be around. By the way, I know one of the things that we talk about sometimes here on the network, and we even got a show that deals with it to some degree, is healthcare. And the Pope really jumped into the healthcare field, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, Rick. But the Pope is saying that AI use in healthcare must ensure quality of care and relationships. So I guess he's fearful that if the AI takes over, that it won't have the same kind of personal touch that a personal
No. Remember when the Republicans accused the Democrats pushing Obamacare of having death panels?
Right.
That you if you were sick and old, you'd go before three judges or whatever, and they decide whether you deserve to get treatment or not, which is complete bullshit. But I assume that's probably one of the fears with AI, that AI can make decisions based on criteria that humans would not support.
That makes sense and everything like that. You know, something else has been in the news, and we've talked about it before. I definitely get ready to get to climate and hear from Sharif about some of the climate things. But TikTok, we've been talking a lot, and TikTok's been in the news twice, once here in North Carolina and once in a foreign place, because apparently in Mali, a TikToker was killed by a suspected jihadist after a pro-army post. So apparently the TikToker who was an influencer posted something that was pro-army and then was killed. And here in North Carolina, we had not a person that was killed, but they lost a lot of money because apparently there was an alienation of affection case where they were a TikTok influencer was accusing another TikTok influencer of stealing their husband and everything. And like I said, North Carolina is one of the few states that still has alienation of affection laws and everything like that. So they got a whole lot of money into that particular case. So what is our thoughts around TikTok as a tool for influencers and newsmakers?
You've got hundreds of millions of people on it, so people are going to do. Anyway, go somebody else.
I want to add one point about influence. If you see China basically add a point and laws like if you want to be influential in TikTok and in social media, and you want to talk about a topic like someone discussing about AI and he become AI influential, he or she must need university degree, certificates, expertise. That is really helpful because I see in social media many people, even though this corporate training and this and that, let's say someone I see that he actually do not have any real research, any real degrees or anything. He was a psychiatrist for counseling. Suddenly he become AI expert in Bangladesh. That is horrible. Even in social media, anybody can come, anybody can discuss, anybody go as a social influentials without any educational background, and people trust it. People engage with these things, and people actually getting a lot of things. So I support, honestly speaking, this China law and initiative. If you want to be influential, you need to be expert on that particular topics. that is a crucial for me. Second thing, the TikTok, if I see, as I work with many young people in Asia, in South Asia, specifically in Bangladesh, they involve with TikTok and many more things. Problem with that, as people making money from this TikTok and this kind of things, what about their educations? Because after some point you will not be influential no more, right? After 1 year, after 2 years, people may not like you. So what you do? So I'm very much concerned about the youth community career and progress and everything. So I think you should focus on your academic studies. You need to finish your study and all of the things. If you are smart enough, like a Bill Gates, then you can drop out and you can build up your own company, no problem. But in terms of ethical issues, I think we need to focus on knowledge, we need to focus on expertise, we need to focus on career. That is very, very important for the youth generations, those who are observing my.
Just because you have a degree doesn't mean you're not a freaking idiot. X is filled with people with advanced professional certification who just post the dumbest freaking tweets in the world.
I mean, one of the things that people talk about all the time is the notion of people that have got book smarts but don't necessarily have a lot of common sense. So there's that whole argument that goes on as well. Hey, Dr. Sharif, just really quickly, because I said I was going to bring it up, and it is an important issue because it's being talked about in Brazil and will be talked about for several days. But how is the climate in your part of the world? Because they're saying that the climate disasters have displaced 250 million people in the last 10 years, according to a UN report. And refugee camps, they're saying, in another 25 will be uninhabitable as the extreme weather continues to worsen. And I know there's a big typhoon getting ready to hit Japan, I believe, and everything. So how is the weather and the climate treating folks in your area?
Yeah, but climate is a major challenges. Country like Bangladesh, country like India, country like Maldives, and all of the countries. So I believe we have to protect our country based on different kind of climate initiative. Uh, we have to go for tree plantation. We have to go for urban planning. Lot of challenges, and everything's need finance, right? When you want to build up your power plant, your ecosystem, it's need lot of money. So I request our bank and financial institutions from our own countries, please invest in green technology. And secondly, global community need to support this initiative. If you see the particular result of the climate initiative, I can say even in Bangladesh, my birthplace, it's called Rajbari, is a very small place. It's heavily affected by the climate initiative or the climate change or whatever it is. But I always want to say change enough, it's enough. Now climate collapse. So everybody has to take emergency actions to overcome from this challenging situation. Fact is that I do not think many of the people actually caring about these things, especially the corporation, those who only focus on making money. Human lives is not valuable for them. Politicians only focus on power and money. Human lives is not important for them. So I request build up community, because community-based action some point is powerful than corporation, powerful than government. So I build up World Talent Economy Forum as an institute, as a community. So I request everyone please join our communities and take action. Thank you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to join those communities and everything like that. Hey, Dr. Sharif, while I'm thinking about it, does your communities have any particular Substacks or Facebook groups? Or because several times on the show you're telling people to join, but are there any particular social media sites that people, if they are interested, could be joining other than your YouTube channel?
I have our Facebook WTE forum. You can see from the Facebook. But where I live right now, I have to go for grassroots level communities. All of the people do not have internet access. All of the people do not have their own Facebook. I work this kind of community. Let's say I just finished my program with Chuet Business Incubations. How many people from Western world know that there is a big business incubation? So I have to work for grassroots level people. Beside this Facebook community, yes, I have. You can go WTE forum in Facebook, and you can World Talent Economy Forum. You can get this Facebook group. YouTube, definitely we have our own website, wteforum.org. But we do a lot of offline initiatives because offline is something you can connect with the people and we can change human life with action. So we are taking action right now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense and everything like that. Hey, Sasha, one of the things that's in the news, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about it, but also Jacoby probably's got some thoughts because we talked about it before, what's going on in the Middle East. But there is a new death penalty coming out of the Israeli government and everything, where they're proposing a death penalty for people that they are deeming to be terrorists. And some people are saying that the bill will be targeting Palestinians. Others are saying that it will not be that, but it is definitely a controversial death penalty and foreign media bill that apparently cleared the first reading in Israel's government yesterday. So everything. I just wanted your take on this new death penalty. Have you been following the bill and everything along those lines? And maybe Jacoby and others might, and even Rick might want to jump into the conversation as well.
Well, death penalty, in my opinion, is no much difference between life sentence and death penalty. In fact, death penalty is much more efficient and more categorical in dealing with the issue than a life sentence, which can last for 20, 30, 50 years, whatever it might be. And in the meantime, I think it's, well, it depends on the conditions of a life sentence. It may be much harsher than the death penalty itself. So I really don't see much. Actually, in the United States, in some states, the death sentence is still available, being used from time to time. So I really don't see big news of it.
So Israel's leadership right now, the Likud and the right, ultra right wing parties are not super trustworthy right now. I would, where, there's been a pushback against Palestinians on the West Bank with hundreds of killings over the past couple decades, where only 3.8% of the killings of Palestinians by Israeli settlers were ever prosecuted. So I don't trust. I support Israel, but not their current leadership.
Yeah, and that's what I think one of our past guests was saying, is that if you are repressive in the handling of certain people, including minority populations, that might raise new terrorists.
I mean, there are plenty of. I mean, Hamas is a terrorist organization, and I'm sure that most members of Hamas, deserve incarceration at least, but that still leaves millions of Palestinians who are not Hamas and probably aren't terrorists.
Yeah, and I think that's what the fear is, that you might get innocent Palestinians to be convicted and all along those lines. But it'll be interesting to see how this plays out and if the death penalty is even passed by Israel and its current government and everything like that. Hey, Dr. Sharif, on another issue, because you're there in Asia, in the country of Bangladesh. What is your take on Japan and China and everything like that? Because apparently they are going at each other, and maybe this is a new brewing disagreement. I know that the Japanese new prime minister was greeted warmly by President Trump and everything like that. But are we getting ready to see a whole another conflict going on between Japan and China, possibly over Taiwan and other things? Because they're saying that she apparently said that the Taiwan conflict could trigger military deployment from her country. So what is your take on this part of the world and whether we're going to see military buildup?
Okay, Japan actually right now in challenging situation in terms of economy. They have many old people and they are actually bringing many young people like country like Bangladesh. In terms of Bangladesh development, Japan has huge contribution, huge. All of our infrastructure developments, mega project development, financial incentive and support, Japan has very good contribution. So I want to give thanks for their contributions. And on the other hand, China actually like a catalyst in Asia Pacific and for around the world. With their Belt and Road Initiative, they also invest in a lot of projects in Bangladesh, in South Asia and around the things. But in terms of ethical standard, in terms of values, in terms of value propositions, I want to say Japan is far, far better than Chinese initiative and everything. Japan has very good culture, very good economy, and maybe they will overcome from these situations. Definitely, all time, every country has some regional issues and regional challenge. I believe that this challenge they will overcome from these things. And Taiwan issue, I think Taiwan also a very good ally of United States. Japan is very good ally of United States. On the other hand, China and USA has some competition because they want to take over their economical things and everything. This is very interesting moment. How USA and China, because China USA has lot of political ally. China is in growing situations. China want to be number one countries in this world. But in terms of culture, cultural influence, cultural engagement, I think USA, Japan has more engagement with this community. So what you discussing about or asking for this China and Japan initiative, I think Japan has more cultural impact and economical impact in Bangladesh and in Asia Pacific.
Yeah, it makes sense and everything. Coming back to the United States for a minute and all along those lines, apparently the funding bill is heading to the House, but they are saying that the government shutdown could impact air travel for months. I didn't have any plan for air travel that I was aware of unless I go to Miami to that media conference again next year and everything like that. But I was just wondering y'all's take on the funding bill, whether we're going to finally have the end of this shutdown totally, and whether any of you gentlemen are planning to go into air travel, particularly around the United States, anytime soon. So I'll start with you, Rick. You got any?
Yeah, we're supposed to travel in December, but we've still got a month to go. So I'm hoping, things are less shitty in a month.
Toby, you got any plans to travel anywhere? And if so, how are you feeling impacted by this air travel? Because I know you've got relatives to the country to the north of us, and you've also got other places you travel to as well on occasion. So any plans on travel, and how is this impacting you?
I mean, I don't really have that much travel going on. Ooh. I mean, yes, it definitely is impacting because yes, there are individuals that may struggle to get here for Thanksgiving. That's a tough piece. We've got a lot. That's the shutdown itself. The Democrats caving should not have happened because they didn't get anything out of the shutdown. I did find out that now because Jack Smith was proven correct. He didn't do anything. He was proven that he didn't do anything wrong, from what I understand, in terms of his subpoenas. But in that government shutdown reopening bill, the Republicans that got subpoenaed for their phone records can now sue for $500,000. That was stuffed into the bill, evidently written in there somehow. But again, the Democrat Party should never have opened up the.
But would Trump have ever have caved and given him anything for ACA? At least
no. But the thing is, Rick, if you stand 10 toes down saying, Sasha, you owe me $10. Sasha says no. Are you going to just say, okay, well, you don't owe me $10 anymore?
Well, I mean, that's what happens with families. Never loan money to family members.
Or say, for example, and this was actually this was one that I saw the other day, that the house is on fire and you and Sasha are sitting there. Sasha has the fire extinguisher and can put out the fire. You ask Sasha to put out the fire. Sasha says, no, I'll only put out the fire if I can kick a dog.
Wow. But, all right, so this question is supposed to vote for ACA is supposed to come up again in December, and the Republicans will look like dickheads again in December.
No, they won't. No, they won't. It will already be passed. What's going to be public? What's going to be public? Nothing. There's going to be a ton of other things that there are a lot of things going on right now that are being covered by the public outrage around particular things. So there are bills that get passed and other things that get passed, but there's cover fire for it. And that's why when this up-down vote that'll happen, that may or may not happen in December, it's just going to go in and out like the wind. Everybody's going to be tied up with Christmas and so on and so forth. Nobody's really going to care. Nobody's going to think about it because
speaking of Christmas and everybody, speaking of Christmas, and everybody,
Sasha's got his hand up here.
I think
About traveling to United States. For Canadians, it's a special challenge because Canadians now require to produce fingerprints at the point of entry, and much harsher the personal inspection, especially for ladies, and many more forms to be filed. So it's even before it was not a very pleasant situation. Now it's for some people like myself, it's unbearable, and therefore I will. I would never consider travel to United States anyway because there are many more destinations around the world that are attracted much more than US. And for holidays, I would rather go, like in January, we'll go to Curacao on a beautiful resort, 5 stars, all inclusive and so on, rather than to go to where? To Florida. There is a traffic, there is a chance that your car will be stolen or damaged or anything, and you can't even safely to go to supermarket buy something, but you can be robbed in supermarket or near supermarket or so on.
We gave you guys measles, so the U.S.'s measles ineptitude has spread to Canada, where Canada used to be considered a country where measles has been conquered thanks to high levels of vaccination. No more. We infected you with our crappy attitudes and our diseases.
yeah, we sent the measles over there. But Rick, and this is for you and Jadovia and maybe Sasha and Dr. Sri want to jump in as well. But what's our thoughts around this notion of the SNAP benefits? Is that going to hurt the Republicans? Because if the Supreme Court doesn't give the full SNAP benefits, won't that be something that the Democrats can pull to as a
The election is 356 days away. Who knows what people will be thinking about nearly a year from now. Now, I think a lot of people think the economy is going to get its ass kicked by Trump's policies, and also maybe the collapse of the AI bubble. But who knows? That's a year from now. We can't predict.
So honestly, I think, and this goes into the shutdown too as well. I think had they kept the shutdown, that would have been the big talk. Had the Democrat Party gotten the healthcare stuff, that would have been the topic for next year because the economy is going to struggle. The economy is going to be tough, as you guys have all pointed out. The AI bubble. We also have the dollar value drop, the value of the dollar dropping. You also have stocks fluctuating, going up and down, and high spikes and everything else. The economy is going to struggle. Everything is more expensive now than what it was. So with all the bad things that are happening, that shutdown had the potential to weigh heavily on the election next year. Now what's going to happen and watch my words, from this point on, because it's already started, from this point on, every economic thing, all the problems are going to be blamed on the shutdown. The shutdown is now going to be blamed on the Democrats who got absolutely nothing out of it. So therefore, that weight in everything is going to start to shift because of all of the messaging that the Republican Party is going to do, that all of your problems were because of the shutdown. And who caused the shutdown? The Democrat Party. What did they get out of it? They could have agreed to the same thing at the beginning. So that is a problem there. So going into next year, it's going to be interesting because I think there are going to be a lot of primaries in the Democrat Party because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to get kicked out and a lot of huge youth movement. Mm-hmm. Because as we pointed out, and Dr. Shreve eloquently puts, the youth movement is there and we have to start listening instead of attacking and trying to turn a blind eye to that. Hey, they're not really making up anything. They're talking about 6-7. Who cares about that? There's a legitimate youth movement. And that's going to happen in the Democrat Party. And while that's going on, the Republicans are going to hone their message that all of your problems were because of this.
Speaking of phone and messages, and I don't know how this can work. Those of you like Sasha, and I guess you as well, Rick, and even you, Jacoby, might have a better idea. But how is this? Because I know we had the rebate during the pandemic and everything. But how is this $2,000 tariff rebate check supposed to work and everything like that? Because Trump is floating this notion that we're all supposed to get a $2,000 dividend check, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know what he can. I mean, in the presidents have given these checks in the past. I don't know where the money comes from, but it's $2,000 is highly inflationary. You know, we haven't seen, since the government's shut down, we haven't seen inflation numbers and unemployment numbers in a month or two. But I assume inflation is continuing to tick upwards a little bit. And if he manages to push it through, it might tick up inflation by another 0.2%. But people will have checks with Donald Trump's name on it, and that has worked in the past.
$2,000 check for each American. How many Americans are there? 330 million?
340 million Americans.
240?
340 million. So you're looking at $680 billion if every American gets a check, which is 2/3 of $1 trillion.
But the last time, wasn't it adults that got it? I don't remember kids getting it. So I think that
it was households. I believe it might have been, well, it was $1,200 per household and then $600 per single adult. You're right.
Okay, where the money is coming from? Who is responsible for payments? Who is going to prepare all these checks and send it to every American? How is it going to work? You're talking about things that will never, ever happen. It's a fiction. It's not going to happen. Why are you discussing something like, let's see, if Trump will want to go to tomorrow to Jupiter and then next day come back? Why would you discuss something that is not going to happen? Now, speaking about something I want to mention, that you were discussing earlier, the idea that everyone on internet supposed to be have PhD or some kind of designations of some sort, and only then, like in China, that's what's being proposed. I don't know how it's going to work in China. I'll tell you how it works in the United States. Just a few days ago, a friend of mine who got involved in so-called quantum computing stocks. I would never even consider to touch them, but because he was involved, I decided to just learn a little bit about it and see what's happening. So I went to some social media, I went to YouTube, and there are millions of videos about different quantum computing stocks. So I decided to listen to one or two just to get myself familiar with what it's talking about. So here's one video. The presenter is PhD in physics and very smoothly talking individual. He's talking about the great future of computing stocks, particularly one of them, I think it was Rigetti Computing. And well, he's very convincing, except that I've noticed at the corner, small letters was, this segment is sponsored by Rigetti Computers. So how objective this PhD is to influence a lot of unsophisticated people who will, based on his assertions, would probably consider buying that stock when it's all sponsored. So he's being paid by Rigetti Computing to show the great future of this company or so on, which has practically no revenue. And basically, it's a pure speculation at this point, at least.
Yeah. I mean, Sasha, you're talking about this administration, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, again, from dealing with race to dealing with straight transactions, how much more do we need to see before we can just be honest about these people? We are now mercenaries because we are for hire people. So if you want to use our military, just pay for it. If you want to bomb whoever, just pay for it. Heck, if you look at just what you're talking about there, take, for example, I just learned that and and this is what I'm talking about the cover, about the things being passed. For example, in the DHS with Dr. Oz and friggin' RFK Wormbrain, they just rolled back some more protections against the forever chemicals, or for the forever plastics that now can be it was in pesticides because they were blocked. So now those forever chemicals can now be placed into different pesticides, because guess who's on those boards to decide these things? They came from that industry. They came directly from that industry and are benefiting from actually allowing these pesticides and these forever chemicals to go through. So, hey, guess what? We're for sale in every way possible.
So one measure of how bad a president is how many years it takes for the next president to undo the damage. And we saw it with Biden. So Trump left Biden with raging COVID and supply chain issues, which helped cause inflation. And Biden, it took him a few years to wind back some of Trump's damage, but it left Biden, he screwed him on Afghanistan. Like Biden, there was too much damage for Biden to get out from under and manage to get reelected. And this second Trump term is going to take a decade or more in some areas, including environmental and chemical and health regulations, to undo the frickin'. And with the judges, it'll take 2 decades.
Yep, it's going to take a while to do all of that.
All you have to do, as I said before, when you are announcing, let's see, $2,000 payments proposed by Trump, you have to say, convicted felon Donald Trump proposes $2,000 payment to each American. Then it's a full disclosure. You're exactly saying, is he a president? Yes, he is. Is he convicted felon? Yes, he is. So you're saying convicted felon Donald Trump, the president of U.S., is offering, or he's promising, or it doesn't matter how you spell it, because everything comes from his mouth. It's a lie, it's a fraud, it's a con anyway. So it doesn't matter how you will call it.
Sasha, I think that he may be recognizing that, and maybe that's why he's trying to get, because one of his convictions is the E. Jean Carroll case and everything, and he's trying to get that overturned.
Two of his convictions.
And he's trying to get that overturned. So maybe he's trying to realize that is a detriment of his, and he's trying to be not a convicted felon if he can get the Supreme Court to overturn that case.
Those were civil trials with civil monetary settlements, and he's been appealing them for years. And eventually, he'll run out of appeals.
Yeah, he'll run out of appeals. He'll get tired of chasing after his own tail, if I can use that animal analogy and everything like that. So we'll see if he actually does that or not.
And also, even the cases which didn't work well against him, like in Georgia, they're now being revitalized, and there are going to be proceedings in Georgia to sabotage election and his phone call, horrible, find me 11,800 votes and something like this. This is all will come. He will end up in jail. Just remind people that they elected a convicted felon. Everybody who voted for Trump knew what he was voting for. Everybody knew that he is convicted felon. But they thought, okay, yeah, he's convicted felon. He will steal and so on. But something will come my way. Something, just because I vote for him, something will come from here and from there. And maybe governor will notice me. Something will come to me. Let's vote for him, and then we'll see what's happened. Okay, now you see what's happened, idiots.
Yep. That's definitely something that folks will be paying attention to, and all along those lines. But we're going to wrap up very shortly. I don't know if Rick or Dr. Sharif have any last-minute words. I do know we've got Ivan on the other side.
Here, I've got some celebrity bullshit news. Zendaya and Sydney Sweeney aren't friends anymore because they're the stars of the HBO show Euphoria, and they used to be friends, but now they're not because Sydney Sweeney's a Republican and Zendaya's a Democrat. There's some bullshitty gossip for you.
Some gossip there and everything like that. And as I mentioned earlier, we've got new animals that are out there. So, Rick, you've got to go find yourself a Lucifer bee because apparently there's a new bee out there in Australia.
We have enough trouble with old animals. This morning at 5 a.m., the coyotes woke us up. There's a hill across from our house. They go to the top of the hill and they just scream for no reason. They're puppies. So like they haven't learned self-control yet. And they do hideous, blood-curdling screams in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, on that note, we're going to get on out of here. We'll be back with World Politics later today, and of course, World Edition tomorrow and everything like that. But right now, I'm going to get out of here because I got to get Sasha's show started and everything like that. Hope y'all have a good one, and I'll see y'all later on. Bye.